You know, one of the most confusing and telling signs that a woman is in love with you but scared to show it is when she sends mixed signals. It's that hot and cold energy that keeps you wondering where you stand with her. One moment she's texting you often, laughing at your jokes, giving you her full attention, and then out of nowhere she pulls back. She takes longer to reply, becomes distant, or seems disinterested, and you're left there trying to make sense of it all, wondering if you did something wrong or if you just imagined the connection altogether. But let me tell you something, it's not always disinterest. Sometimes it's fear. Fear of being vulnerable, of making the first move, or of being rejected. That's what causes these seemingly contradictory behaviors. When a woman is emotionally invested, but unsure about your feelings, her instincts may urge her to protect her heart. And the way that protection shows up? Through inconsistency. It's not intentional. She's not playing games. In fact, she probably hates the fact that she can't just be straightforward about how she feels. But something inside her is battling between the desire to connect and the fear of being exposed. Now, here's where it gets tricky for most men. Many guys will take this as a lack of interest and simply back off. They might assume, well, she's clearly not into me, why bother? But if you look closer, if you really pay attention, you'll see the tension in her actions. It's like she's silently saying, I want you to notice me, but I don't know if it's safe to show you how much I care. That's the emotional tug of war playing out right in front of you. Let's say you've had a great conversation with her, one of those deep, engaging talks where you both lose track of time. She's laughing, opening up, maybe even giving you little hints that she enjoys your company. Then, the next day, she's colder. Short responses, no emojis, or maybe she doesn't initiate anything at all. You're thinking, what happened? The truth is, she might be panicking, overanalyzing what she said, wondering if she was too obvious. She's scared she gave too much of herself away, so now she pulls back to regain control. To her, that distance feels like safety. To you, it feels like confusion. And if she's someone who has been hurt before, this becomes even more pronounced. Women who've experienced heartbreak or rejection tend to guard their emotions fiercely. They may have developed this internal rule book. Don't get too close. Don't fall too fast. Don't make the first move. So even if her heart is saying, I really like him, her mind is shouting, don't let him know. She might even try to sabotage the connection, not because she doesn't want it, but because deep down she thinks she doesn't deserve it or that it won't last. You'll notice her making excuses, canceling plans last minute, or being overly critical of small things. But all of that is just a mask, a way to create distance so she doesn't risk falling deeper and getting hurt. So how do you respond to this? With patience, not pressure. The more you chase after consistency too quickly, the more she'll feel like she's losing control. Instead, create a space where she feels emotionally safe. Let your actions show her that you're not going anywhere just because she had a moment of doubt. Be steady but not invasive. Listen without always trying to fix. And sometimes give her space, not as punishment but as a quiet reassurance that she doesn't have to perform to keep your attention. Over time, if the connection is real and you've built enough trust, she'll start to drop her guard. You'll notice the moments of hesitation becoming fewer, the emotional distance shrinking. But that only happens when she feels seen, not judged. When she knows you're not just tolerating her mixed signals, you're understanding the fear behind them. Because love, when it's hidden, doesn't disappear. It just disguises itself in ways that look confusing on the surface, but make perfect sense when you understand what's going on underneath. And once you learn to read those signals not just with your eyes, but with your intuition, you begin to see the truth that fear tries to bury. That confusion you feel, it's not the absence of emotion. It's often the presence of deep feelings, carefully concealed. You ever notice how some women get nervous around certain people? Fidgeting with their hair, avoiding eye contact, or talking a little too much? It's easy to overlook, but when a woman is in love with you and afraid to show it, nervousness can be one of the biggest giveaways. She might not come out and say how she feels, but her body will speak volumes. Her words might stumble, her laugh might sound a little forced, and she might seem unsure of herself in a way that's unusual, especially if she's normally confident and composed. You see, when feelings run deep, the stakes feel high. And when the stakes feel high, fear kicks in. She doesn't want to say the wrong thing. She doesn't want to come across too eager. She doesn't want to risk the embarrassment of misreading the situation. So what does she do? She overthinks. Every word, every text, every glance, she analyzes it all because deep down she cares. And that care creates pressure, pressure not to mess it up, pressure not to let you see just how much you matter to her. And sometimes that nervousness doesn't look like shyness at all. Sometimes it comes out in the form of talking too much, rambling about little things, making jokes, or even overcompensating with sarcasm. It's like she's trying to keep the conversation going just to fill the silence, because in that silence, she might feel too exposed. Her feelings are bubbling just under the surface, and she's terrified that if she stops talking, you'll see right through her. Other times, she'll withdraw completely. She'll keep conversations short, avoid eye contact, or act a little cold, not because she doesn't like you, but because she likes you too much. That internal panic, it's real. It's that "don't look at me too long, or you might see how fast my heart is racing" kind of feeling. And if you're not paying close attention, you might assume she's just not into you. But again, that couldn't be further from the truth. One of the clearest signs of this hidden love is the way she becomes a different version of herself when you're around. Maybe she's normally loud and outgoing, but around you, she becomes quiet, almost cautious. Or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe she becomes extra bubbly and playful, almost like she's trying to distract herself from how nervous she feels. Either way, there's a noticeable shift in her behavior that tells you something deeper is going on. And if you want to know how deep it goes, watch how she responds to simple compliments. Tell her she looks nice and she might brush it off awkwardly, change the subject, or laugh it away. That's not because she doesn't appreciate it, it's because the compliment touches a part of her that she's trying so hard to keep hidden. If she didn't care about you, she'd accept it with ease. But because it's you saying it, it hits different. It flusters her. Now, I want to be clear, this isn't about playing detective and overanalyzing every nervous gesture. It's about tuning into what her energy is telling you. If she's always calm and collected around others, but seems to lose that composure when she's alone with you, that's a sign. If she starts conversations but then fumbles through them or laughs in moments that don't require laughter, chances are she's trying to mask what she feels. Because to her, those feelings make her vulnerable, and vulnerability, especially when love is involved, can be terrifying. Some women have been taught to hide their emotions, to protect their hearts at all costs. They may have grown up believing that showing love first is a weakness, or that emotional openness puts them at risk. So even when they feel that deep pull towards someone, they keep it under wraps. But their body betrays them, their nerves give them away. So what can you do in those moments? The key is not to call it out or make her more self-conscious. It's to make her feel safe, give her space to be herself without judgment, respond with warmth, not pressure. When she feels like she can be around you without fear of being exposed or rejected, she'll slowly begin to relax. Her words will flow easier, her laughter will sound more genuine, and her eyes, those eyes that used to dart away, will start to linger. Because nervousness doesn't come from a lack of interest. It comes from the presence of something real, something tender, something she's still trying to figure out how to express without losing her balance. There's something most people miss when they're trying to understand how someone truly feels about them. And that's the presence of subtle jealousy. When a woman is in love with you but scared to show it, jealousy can sneak into the way she interacts with you. Soft, almost invisible, but definitely there. She won't come right out and say, "I'm jealous," of course. That would mean admitting feelings she's not ready to expose. But it shows up in the smallest shifts. How her tone changes when you mention another woman's name, or how her energy drops the moment someone else has your attention. She might ask you casually, "Who is that girl you were with?" Or, "You two seem close, huh?" Trying to sound disinterested, trying to keep it light. But her eyes might say something different. Her voice might tighten just slightly, and if you're really paying attention, you'll feel the shift, that moment of discomfort. It's not because she's possessive, it's not because she's being dramatic, it's because she cares more than she's willing to admit, and hearing or seeing you with someone else touches a nerve she's tried hard to ignore. She might even try to play it off, make a joke, tease you, or pretend it doesn't matter. And that's what makes it so confusing. One minute she's poking fun about you and another girl, and the next minute she's gone quiet or distant. You're left wondering what just happened. But that's her way of coping. That teasing is her shield. It lets her talk about something uncomfortable without revealing the full truth. As if she truly let you see how much it affects her, it would also mean revealing that her heart's already involved. This kind of jealousy isn't loud. It's not about drama or confrontation. It's quiet. It's subtle. But it's real. She might suddenly become more withdrawn when you're around other women, or she may start talking more about male friends just to even the score a bit, not to hurt you, but to protect herself from feeling like she's the only one feeling something deeper. It's her way of regaining control in a situation that makes her feel emotionally exposed. And you'll notice that this behavior doesn't show up with everyone. She might be totally unfazed when her other friends talk about their relationships or spend time with others. But when it comes to you, it's different. There's an emotional investment there, something unspoken but intense. Her reactions to you aren't random. They're rooted in something she's struggling to keep under wraps. What's interesting is how often people dismiss this kind of jealousy as insecurity, but I'll tell you this, sometimes it's not insecurity at all. It's love with nowhere to go. It's affection she's too scared to express openly. It's wanting more from you, but not knowing if she has permission to want it, so instead it comes out sideways through subtle digs, sarcasm, or moments of quiet withdrawal. And if you're not paying attention, you'll think she's being moody or difficult. But if you really listen, if you tune in, you'll realize it's not about jealousy for jealousy's sake. It's about unspoken feelings looking for a place to land. She might even become unusually curious about your interactions with other women, asking questions that seem innocent on the surface, but are really a way of checking where she stands. She's trying to figure out if you feel what she feels without risking her pride. That kind of restraint takes a lot of emotional energy, especially when feelings are strong. And if you ever catch her in a moment where she looks a little too disappointed about something small, like you canceling a plan or mentioning someone else's name, that's your clue. That disappointment is more than just surface level. It's tied to something deeper she's keeping hidden. So what do you do when you start to notice this pattern? Don't make her feel bad for it. Don't tease her for being jealous or accuse her of acting weird. Instead, offer consistency. Be transparent. Let her know, not with grand declarations, but through your steadiness, that you value her presence in your life. Sometimes that's all it takes for her to feel secure enough to lower her guard. When she doesn't feel like she's competing with anyone, when she feels chosen, even quietly, her defenses will start to melt. Because here's the thing, jealousy isn't always a red flag. Sometimes it's a green light that someone deeply cares, but just doesn't know how to express it. It's not the jealousy itself that's the problem. It's the silence behind it. And when you learn to read that silence, you begin to understand what she's been too afraid to say out loud. Love has a way of showing up even when someone's trying their best to hide it. One of the most overlooked signs that a woman is in love with you, but scared to show it, is how she quietly shows up for you, not with grand romantic gestures or loud declarations, but with consistent, subtle acts of support. You'll notice she's always there when you need something, offering help, encouragement, and a kind of emotional backup that most people wouldn't even think to give unless they truly cared. And the interesting part? She'll rarely make a big deal out of it. In fact, she'll often downplay it, acting like it's no big thing. But it is. It's a big thing. Because love, especially the kind that hides behind fear, often speaks through action before it ever dares to use words. Let's be real. If a woman doesn't care about you, she's not going to go out of her way to make sure you're okay. She's not going to remember the little things you mentioned in passing, or check in on how your meeting went, or surprise you with coffee because she remembered you had a long night. These aren't random acts of kindness. These are quiet signals. They're her way of staying close to you without risking rejection. Because when feelings are strong and fear is present, showing love becomes a balancing act between expression and protection. You might notice she's always offering to help when you have a problem. Maybe your car broke down and she's the one calling around for a mechanic before you even asked. Or you've had a stressful week and she randomly sends you a playlist or something funny to make you smile. That's not just kindness. That's emotional investment. That's her way of saying, I see you, I care about what you're going through. And even though she might not say the actual words, her actions speak for her. It's also in the way she supports your goals. When a woman is in love but scared to admit it, one of the ways she channels that emotion is by becoming your quiet cheerleader. She asks you about your dreams, your plans, your passions, and she remembers them. She brings them up even when you forget, and she genuinely celebrates your wins no matter how small. That support is her love trying to find a safe way out, because it feels safer to show up for you than it does to open her heart and risk being turned away. And don't be fooled by how casual she tries to make it look. She might laugh it off when you thank her. She might say, "Oh, it was nothing," or "You do the same for me." But it's not nothing, it's everything. Because when someone cares that much about your well-being, they're not doing it for the credit. They're doing it because it matters to them that you are okay. This kind of quiet devotion is so easy to overlook, especially if you're expecting love to always come in obvious ways, but some of the deepest feelings come wrapped in simplicity. A woman in love, but scared to show it, will often let her heart guide her hands through acts of service, thoughtfulness, and an almost unspoken commitment to being there for you, even if she can't quite say why. What makes this even more beautiful is that she doesn't do it for attention. In fact, she might avoid being seen as too available or too helpful because she doesn't want you to think she's trying too hard. She walks that tightrope of caring deeply while trying to protect her dignity. That's why she won't always stay long after helping, or why she'll keep conversations light even after doing something incredibly thoughtful. It's her way of keeping her emotions hidden just enough to stay safe, but still connected to you. And here's the thing, these gestures aren't random. They're targeted. She notices what you need, how you move, what makes your day easier, and she adjusts herself around that. That level of care doesn't come from someone who's indifferent. It comes from someone who's fully engaged with you emotionally, even if she's scared to let that truth breathe. So if you're wondering whether she has deeper feelings, look past the words. Watch how she shows up for you. Notice how she remembers the little things. Pay attention to how much of her time, energy, and thought she quietly pours into your world, because love that's afraid to speak will always find another way to be seen. When someone consistently chooses to support you without asking for anything in return, that's not just kindness, that's love in disguise. Another sign that a woman is in love with you but scared to show it is how she reacts when the topic of relationships or love comes up, especially if it's about your love life. Pay attention here because this can reveal more than words ever will. You'll notice she either becomes uncomfortable, overly curious, or strangely quiet. She might tease you, deflect the question, or act like she doesn't care. But that reaction, that's not indifference. That's emotional tension. It's the conflict between wanting to know everything about you and being terrified of hearing something she doesn't want to hear. Sometimes you'll casually bring up dating, or someone will joke about you and another girl and she'll laugh, but there's a tightness in her expression. Or she might immediately change the subject, like, "Anyway, what did you think of the game last night?" And you're sitting there thinking, that's odd, but it's not odd when you realize what's really going on. She's trying to manage her emotional response without letting anything slip. Because if she reacts too strongly, you might suspect the truth. And if she pretends too hard, she might lose the chance to understand where you stand. It's a protective dance. She doesn't want to come off as jealous or intrusive, but she also can't help but feel something when the subject hits too close to home, especially when the topic involves you being emotionally available to someone else. That's when her guard tightens. She may get sarcastic, "Oh wow, look at you with all these options." But sarcasm in moments like that often masks vulnerability. It's easier to sound playful than to admit that her heart just skipped a beat in the wrong direction. And on the flip side, sometimes she becomes too interested. She'll ask follow-up questions. "So, are you seeing anyone seriously? Do you like her? What kind of girl do you usually go for?" It might sound like curiosity, but pay attention to how she asks. If she seems nervous, overly invested in your answers, or quick to compare herself to the kind of woman you describe, that's not casual interest. That's personal. That's her trying to measure her place in your world without having to come out and ask directly. And look, this isn't about manipulation. She's not playing games. She's navigating her feelings in a space where she doesn't feel safe enough to be open yet. Maybe she's been hurt before. Maybe she's afraid of ruining the friendship you have. Or maybe she's just unsure of how you feel and the fear of rejection is louder than her desire to confess anything. So instead, she tests the waters, lightly, quietly, carefully, and in those moments, if you're not emotionally tuned in, you might miss what's right in front of you. You might even catch her giving mixed advice. You're talking to her about someone you're dating or thinking about dating, and she says, yeah, she seems great, you should go for it. But her voice doesn't match her words. She's saying one thing, but everything else in her, her tone, her eyes, her sudden withdrawal, says another. Because deep down, she's hoping it won't work out. Not because she wants you to be unhappy, but because she's afraid of being replaced before she even had a chance. These kinds of moments are so easy to overlook. We live in a world where we expect love to always look bold and obvious, but when a woman is in love and scared to show it, everything becomes subtle. Her feelings get tucked inside pauses, eye contact that lingers too long, or questions that sound casual but are loaded with meaning. If she talks about your love life with a strange combination of curiosity and discomfort, that's not random. That's her heart speaking from behind the curtain. So how do you respond when you sense this tension? Gently. Don't press her, don't mock her, and definitely don't ignore the signs. Create a space where it feels okay to be honest, where vulnerability doesn't feel like a risk, but like a shared moment. Because sometimes all she needs is to know that she's not alone in feeling what she feels. Love doesn't always arrive with a grand announcement. Sometimes it shows up in awkward silences and questions laced with hope. One of the most telling signs that a woman is in love with you but scared to show it is how emotionally invested she becomes in your life. Quietly, consistently, and often without you even realizing just how deeply it goes. You'll start to notice that your moods affect her. If you're going through something tough, she carries it with her. If you're happy, she lights up too, even if she's having a rough day herself. She celebrates your highs, but more importantly, she feels your lows. Not from a distance, but like someone emotionally tied to your well-being. Someone who feels your wins and losses as if they were her own. When a woman has fallen for you but is afraid to say it, she'll often become emotionally attuned to you in ways that are subtle but powerful. She remembers how you react to stress. She knows when you're pretending to be fine, even when you haven't said a word. And sometimes she'll check in on you at exactly the right moment, not because she's guessing, but because she feels it. She notices the tone in your voice, the shift in your energy, the difference in your silence. That kind of attentiveness doesn't come from someone who's simply being friendly. That's emotional connection. That's love sitting just beneath the surface, looking for a safe way out. She'll go out of her way to be emotionally available for you if you open up to her, even just a little. She listens deeply. She doesn't brush off your thoughts or minimize your problems. She validates you, supports you, and more than anything, she remembers. Not just the big things, but the little things most people forget. Because to her, those details matter. You matter. And that investment she's making in your emotional world is her heart's quiet way of saying, I'm here. I care. Now here's the thing. She won't always admit how deeply she feels. She might try to hide it behind jokes or act like she's just being a good friend. She may even pretend it's no big deal that she's staying up late to listen to you talk about your dreams or helping you work through something that's been bothering you for weeks. But it is a big deal, because most people don't show up like that unless their feelings run deep. She might try to hide it by keeping some distance when she senses she's getting too close emotionally. That's when she'll pull back suddenly, not because she stopped caring, but because she started caring too much and that scared her. Her emotional involvement felt exposed, and she didn't know if you felt the same way. So she retreats, hoping to protect herself from heartbreak before it ever has a chance to begin. That push and pull energy, it's not confusion, it's her heart fighting with her fear. Another way this emotional investment shows up is through her reaction to your pain. If you've ever seen a woman get unreasonably upset over something that hurt you, or watched her take on your problems like they're her own, you've seen what love looks like in action. She can't stand seeing you disappointed, and sometimes she'll even take on a kind of emotional burden, trying to fix things she has no control over, just because she wants to see you at peace. She'll stress about your stress, worry about your future, hope for your healing. That's not surface level caring. That's someone whose heart is already involved. And the funny part? She probably won't say any of this outright. She might even try to act like she's just being a good listener, or that this is just how she is with everyone. But it's not. She's not this emotionally involved with just anyone. There's a difference between being kind and being deeply connected. The way she engages with you stands apart. And once you begin to notice how invested she really is, it becomes impossible to unsee. She'll show up for you on your worst days. She'll worry about things that affect you even when she has her own challenges going on. She'll support you without needing the spotlight, and she'll care for you without expecting anything in return. And all of it, every little gesture, every emotionally charged moment, it all comes from a place of love that she's afraid to name. So if you ever find yourself wondering whether she truly feels something for you, ask yourself this: who's been emotionally present in your life in a way that feels different, intentional, and steady? Who's been consistent in their care even when they didn't have to be? Who listens to your silence more than your words? Because love that's scared to speak will still find 1,000 ways to be felt.